There's nothing like experiencing your favorite story for the first time. However, once you've experienced it, that's it. Wouldn't it be nice if we were able to continuously experience fresh new plots in the universes we already enjoy with the characters we've grown attached to? What if we used modern AI to generate these new plots indefinitely? Visual novels are likely the medium in which we can accomplish this, being that they are, by nature, video games. There's already a whole genre based around games with randomized elements, so let's bring that concept into the world of visual novels. Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc is one of the visual novels of all time, but more importantly, it's a visual novel that I'm familiar with and is, with the help of community-made tools, kind of moddable. Today, we're going to use Danganronpa as a base to see if modern-day AI is capable of creating an engaging story and solving a coherent mystery. Hi, I'm Crispy Self, and in today's chapter, we're going to use NovelAI to rewrite the entirety of Danganronpa's first class trial in such a way that it can be modded into the actual game. First, the AI will be given a brief summary of the story so far. And for those of you who don't know a thing about Danganronpa, here's exactly what the AI will be given so you'll be on the same page. Oh yeah, and you've probably worked it out by now, but this video will spoil the first chapter of Danganronpa 1. Hope's Peak Academy was renowned as the most elite high school in the world, where the best in the world would study. However, Hope's Peak has been taken over by the evil headmaster Monokuma. Monokuma has trapped 15 students within Hope's Peak until one of the students gets away with murder. The students lived together warily for a few days, until Monokuma introduced a compelling motive. A video for each student showing the people and things they loved the most in danger. A day later, Sayaka Maizono was found murdered in Makoto Naegi's bathroom. Monokuma allowed the students to gather evidence for a class trial, a test to see if the students can solve Sayaka's murder. If the students can solve the murderer will be executed. If the students can't solve the murder, all the students besides the murderer will be executed. Junko attempted to disobey Monokuma and forgo the class trial, and was swiftly executed. Now our protagonist, Makoto Naegi, is tasked with not only proving that he is not the murderer, but also finding Sayaka's real killer. The class trial for the murder of Sayaka Maizono has begun. But not actually, we need to do a bit more debriefing first. Oh, and also the murderer is referred to as the Blackened in-game, but I forgot to tell the AI that, and I think I only say it once, so I guess keep an eye out for that. The AI will also be given a brief summary of each character and their personality, each room that was available in the school, and each piece of evidence that was found before the trial. For those of you who now only know what I just told you ever miss the first day of school growing up? Well, if not, this will be what it feels like. You'll figure it out, I believe in you. The AI will not be given any piece of evidence that would normally be discovered during the trial, in this case, Sayaka's note. The most important limitation is that the AI will be restricted to following the original script. That is to say, each character must speak at their designated times for roughly their designated length. Evidence that is brought up via non-stop debates or Hangman's Gambit will be given significant pull for the AI, but will not be forced into the script. This will severely restrict the AI, but it's necessary if we expect the AI to be able to rewrite stories indefinitely. Due to these restrictions, I will allow the AI to rewrite lines if it appears to be going severely off track. I will essentially be playing the role of an editor, not influencing the story, but suggesting lines to be rewritten. I will also be writing and slightly animating the closing argument myself. Think of it as a test to see if the AI gave the player enough clues to reasonably put together how it thinks Sayaka is killed. The closing argument will be composed of used and unused in-game assets, so possible spoiler warning for the entirety of the first Danganronpa game. Two more things before we get started. The visuals during the class trial may not match the script, but to make it up to you, I gathered a group of AI voice actors to voice the script. I've even modded their lines into the game directly. And lastly, I will be here giving commentary as if I had never played Danganronpa before, and this was my first experience with it. And now...
Attention, attention. Here! Yeah! Here! Yeah. The class trial for the murder of Sayaka Maizono has officially begun. All right, everyone, sit down. Stand up. Do whatever you want. Don't worry about it.
Well, at least he's still not taking anything seriously.
Everyone stand by while I explain the rules. This is important.
Why are you telling us this now?
Good point. Not knowing the rules for the first trial would be real disadvantageous for the Blackened.
Shut Up, Makoto. Pay attention.
Well, never mind then, sorry.
Boy, what's going on here?
Oh, that's weird that he's asking Hina in particular.
Monokuma is just trying to scare us.
It's too late for that.
I
He
see.
wants us to start arguing with each other.
Yeah, I see what she means. 2 people already dead because of that.
You're absolutely right. Kyoko.
Now would be a good time to go ahead and get started.
All right, let's begin the trial.
Oh, we're just gonna ignore Monokuma's rules anyways?
First things first, we need to decide which of us is the murderer.
That'd be the only thing.
Wait, hold on. There's no need for that. All of you are the murderers. Sorry, but I'm not kidding. Even if you don't believe me, it's true. Besides, I told you before, didn't...
Oh, is this like the inverse of that Jigsaw never killed anyone principle? You know, just because you couldn't escape the Bone Crusher 3000 I put you in doesn't mean I killed you. But in this case it'd be, because nobody saved Saika, it means you all killed her. I'll never forget how he said it. You're all the murderers? That's exactly why I became suspicious. I guess Makoto's taking it in a everyone's against you kind of way.
So you're saying we all did it?
That's an idiotic question.
We already know who the murderer is.
Alright, we expected this.
I'm sure of it. What proof do you have? You can't just say that. If you can prove that with evidence, then...
So we're starting with the trouble that took place in
No,
Makoto's
that's
room.
wrong!
Right, he definitely didn't stab anyone.
So I want to keep this video under 40 minutes. I failed, but I'm keeping it under 50. If you see a cut like this, it's just jumping ahead in the conversation, usually just after the AI went in circles, or speculated for a bit. If you want to see the full trial, 35 extra minutes, there'll be 2 links in the description, one for the extended video in general, and one that picks up just before that cut. You can totally be fine with just this video though. Okay, I gotta go now, have fun, bye. Then how did the murderer get into the room? He must have used something to break down the door. I mean, the knife... I don't think it was strong enough. Only Sayaka could even... Or sorry, Sakura. Knife, nah. I guess you could, like, try to... Nah, it's gotta be just some other tool. Probably from the toolkit side, I guess.
I got it! The question is what? What could be strong enough to smash down the door?
I mean, weren't the doors supposed to be super tough, soundproof, unpickable? Guess everything has a weak point. Including my voice.
A hammer, or maybe a crowbar. I saw one lying on the floor in the hallway.
Oh, you did? Good catch, Sakura.
Does that mean someone used a tool to break the door open? If we look at the scratches on the wall, we might be able to figure out which tool was used.
You're right. Let's check out the toolkit.
Oh, we have the toolkits with us? Good foresight. I wonder if... I feel like that'd be a Taka decision, right? He probably told us all to bring them. Just in case.
Alright, let's go.
Let's start with the hammer. Look for it's not there, so it must have been a crowbar.
And check the crowbars.
I bet one of them has a damaged head.
Or at least some sign of use.
Let's check. Let's just go through every single thing in the toolkit. And waste even more time.
I'm all for being thorough, but I guess Ifumi has a point here. We haven't really gone anywhere.
We don't really need to check everything.
Gee, thanks for telling me, you jerk. I wonder if Hina's right. Maybe someone did break into my room after all.
If they used the toolkit, then it's gotta be one of these.
Yeah, it seems to make sense.
These tools have all sorts of uses. They're perfect for breaking doors.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Or for stabbing people.
Maybe.
Exactly. They're called crowbars for a reason.
What? does that mean? Whatever.
Someone used a crowbar to break into your room.
Now I understand!
Okay, here's the next piece of evidence.
What is it?
Why, the fact that there's no hair on the floor of my room.
Good thing to bring up.
We're pretty certain that someone used a crowbar to break down the door. But there's no hair on the floor, and I definitely didn't touch the floor myself.
Oh, and like no little fragments either, I presume from... I would assume using a crowbar on a door would leave some sort of fragments behind. I guess I'm not sure. I've never used a crowbar, to be quite honest.
That's because you cleaned up after yourself. That means someone else did it.
Complete 180. Though I get where it comes from. If Makoto was the killer, it wouldn't make sense for him to clean his own floor. If a broken door would make it look like someone else broke in.
Well, if someone was hiding under the bed, they wouldn't have left any hair on the ground.
More importantly, this proves that someone was in Mr. Nage's room before Miss Maizano was killed.
I wouldn't say proves. Lack of evidence isn't necessarily evidence, but that's a good start.
You mean to say there was already a suspect in the room when Sayaka died?
Yeah,
Of course, it's obvious.
exactly.
How could we not guess? Someone used a crowbar to break into his room.
And then they cleaned up after themselves. That's why there's no hair on the floor.
Makes sense.
So basically, the person who broke into Makoto's room was also responsible for cleaning it up afterward.
Exactly. This means they were probably the one who stabbed Sayaka with a kitchen knife.
And if they were the one who cleaned up afterward, then that means they were hiding under the bed when she was killed.
That's right. It's the perfect alibi.
Perfect? No, but it does seem to have been planned out at least to some degree. Not that we're gonna have to get a conviction for premeditation here, but open the door.
You know, I've got a good idea. Let me show you. I'm going to tell you some other facts about my room. They'll help us figure out the truth.
What can we possibly learn from that?
Let's wait and see.
It's really obvious that someone broke the doorknob while they were struggling with the door.
True.
The doorknob was just bent, and there wasn't a scratch on it. How could someone bend the doorknob without leaving any marks?
Probably the same way they got into the room. They tried to open with their crowbar, and since the door frame was ill-fitting, it's likely that prying it open also damaged the doorknob.
Maybe they used the crowbar to hold the doorknob still, then twisted it with their hands.
Or that. Not a stuck jar lid, man. Well, run already track at least.
The killer couldn't open the door because it required a little trick. Once they learned the trick, they could open the door easily.
So what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Hero on this one. Maybe they switched the nameplate so no one could see who stayed where.
And if they switched the names, then nobody could know which room had the murder happen in it.
We know which room had the murder happen in it. Wasn't ever up for debate.
That's right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
It seems obvious that they swapped the nameplates to confuse us.
I think so.
Everyone knows that Mr. Nage's room had the murder happen in it, so they switched the nameplates to make it look like Mr. Nage killed Miss Maizano.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with Afumi here for sure.
Yay, it was obvious to me too. We know that someone was in Mr. Nage's room before Miss Maizano was killed. And we know that the nameplates were switched to make it seem like Mr. Nage killed Miss Maizano.
True. If you're going to be the killer, you'll need a crowbar. You might even have a spare lying around somewhere. I wonder if you have a spare crowbar in your room. Would they? I mean, I guess if they grabbed the crowbar from the toolkit in Makoto's room.
I got it!
Wait, you think it was Sayaka's idea?
What if someone really was trying to break into my room? I was afraid that if I let them in, they might hurt me.
Sayaka mentioned that someone had tried to break into her room late at night. She said she was scared, so she suggested switching rooms with me.
Yeah, it's all true.
How scary was it?
What?
She told me that someone had broken into her room.
Oh, she meant, did she actually seem afraid, and how valid was her story, and just came out weird? I see.
I wasn't sure whether or not to believe her, so I decided to check it out myself.
You went into her room at night.
It is suspicious that I would go into Sayaka's room at night. But maybe I was worried about her safety, and that's why I went into permission. I would assume the permission was implied if she swapped keys.
Why didn't you tell anyone?
Now that's a good point. We should have gotten more people together on this, maybe then we would have...
You should have called for help. He's probably still blaming himself for it.
Was it possible that someone else was hiding under the bed, and they killed Sayaka when she came into the room?
Like besides the killer?
It's hard to say. The killer must have had a reason to enter Mikado's room.
Actually, why did they try to break in? Did they know Sayaka was there? Was it random?
Or maybe the killer couldn't get into Mezano's room, so they decided to try to break into Mr. Niji's instead.
That actually seems very likely.
They were probably going to try again later, but then Miss Mezono got killed.
As in, if Makoto's room was empty?
I agree. Let's take it step by step.
Do we have time to go step by step? Maybe we should take the steps two at a time.
First, we need to figure out what Sayaka was trying to convey with her dying message.
Or get on all fours and climb up the steps, you know, like you do at home.
And then we need to see if we can uncover who she was referring to.
I think I might know how we can do both.
Oh yeah?
So you figured out how to read the dying message. I didn't think anyone else knew what she wrote.
Celeste, you're really sitting on this information?
Do you think you could tell us?
Yeah, for real.
She said 11,037 in the dying message, right?
Is it possible that she meant the wrong numbers?
That makes sense. The number itself might not be important, but rather the fact that it's a number at all to get us thinking about the room numbers.
That would certainly explain why the nameplates were switched.
Did she realize that the killer was going to switch the nameplates? Wow.
It sounds like she must have been trying to get us to look at the room assignments. But the switch could have been deliberate.
I'm sure you're right. The killer probably wanted us to think that Mikoto had changed the nameplates.
Exactly, I think that's exactly it. It matches everything else the killer has done as well. But why? Why would the killer switch the nameplates if they're going to frame me? There's something I still don't understand about Sayaka's dying message. Why did she write 11,037 instead of 111,111? Well, all ones would be less clear, but I guess maybe Makoto hasn't figured out the upside down message yet. I guess we shouldn't assume that he's already figured out the upside down portion, but I think a good amount of the classmates have.
I got it!
Here's another piece of evidence. There's dried blood on Sayaka's left index finger. Her right wrist had been fractured, and gold residue was left at the injured's location.
What does any of that have to do with anything?
That's what we need to figure out.
Well, see, here's the thing. Sayaka's right wrist was broken, but the blood on her left index finger was fresh. So she must have injured her right wrist first.
Yeah, I don't see why the killer would have broken her wrist after the stab. Unless she had like a weapon of some sort.
The killer must have been holding onto the knife while attacking Sayaka.
Then the blood on her right wrist fits from the knife and not Mizuno's hand.
And like, he obviously doesn't mean like the fatal wound. But did the killer initially slash her so badly that it caused a fracture instead of a cut? Also, why'd they go for the wrist? I guess it probably wasn't intentional, right? They were probably attacking from a bad position, maybe? Maybe under the bed.
Wait, wouldn't Sayaka be bleeding too, if she was injured by the same attack?
If it was a good slash, then yeah, but I don't think it was. Oh, I get it. The knife wasn't the only weapon used during the stabbing. Sword, maybe?
Oh, you mean there was? The more than one knife.
No, I doubt that.
Ooh, so the killer actually had the second knife hidden somewhere.
Yeah, no.
No, that's wrong!
This has to do with the sword.
But the replica sword was found out of its sheath when I looked at it.
Yeah, but wait, why would the killer leave the sheath behind?
Yeah, if the killer was getting rid of evidence, that would include the sword as well.
Because the blade was broken, and the sheath itself was scratched with a knife.
Well, maybe it was weak because it was a replica, but still, I wouldn't think you'd be able to break it without significant effort. Or like a really good swing or something.
The kitchen knife set was used to scratch the sheath, and then the sheath was used to break the sword.
If it was metal, I guess that could work, yeah.
I don't get how those things work together, though.
Yeah, same.
It's simple enough, really. Look at the scratches on both.
They're pretty similar. It looks like they were made with the same kind of knife. And the kitchen knife was used to scratch the sword sheath.
That makes sense. The sheath was scratched, but the sword was broken.
Ah, I see. So the sheath was used to break the sword.
I just don't get why, I guess.
You think the killer broke it, didn't you? Didn't you say something about a struggle in your room?
Yeah, but I doubt it was the killer. Why would the killer break a perfectly good replica sword?
It'd be a strange use of time, for sure.
If we assume this all happened after Madonna died, then the killer probably just wanted to make it seem like there was a struggle.
Oh, okay, thanks, Safumi. That makes the most sense to me, for sure.
Then what's the meaning of the replica sword? Why would Makoto keep it around?
I guess he never told the others about the sword.
Also, why did the nameplates get switched? We've already established that the culprit was in Makoto's room before the killing. This whole thing smells like a setup.
Yeah, I think that in and of itself is why the nameplates were switched.
I wonder if that was done so we'd focus on Makoto and overlook the real killer.
I think you're exactly right.
Well, he certainly did his job well. He made Makoto look guilty so we wouldn't suspect anyone else.
She said he. Do we know the killer's a guy, or are we just assuming? Or because of the dying message we're making that assumption? It's likely, but...
What? You talking about, Kyoko?
Remember what you said about the struggling.
Oh yeah. The murderer scratched the walls with a knife. Well, murder definitely took place. It's not even a question. I think at this point we have to conclude. I think this means Chihiro was right at the beginning. The evidence of the struggle was fabricated.
I got it!
Wait, so was the fight in my room fake? But I remember seeing the scratches.
I mean, there was a ridiculous amount of scratches. I thought that might have just been like a stylistic choice, but even then, the way the room looked was pretty extreme.
Why did the murderer choose to scratch the walls, instead of just breaking the sword sheath?
I think the killer wasn't as rational as we thought. I think they had the idea of fabricating signs of the struggle, and they just kind of winged it once they got there.
Maybe because that would make the murder more suspicious, since the sheath was used to break the sword.
Someone should try to get stuck on him. I mean, it's also possible that he was just trying to run out the time limit that he assumed would be there.
But then why would the murderer use the kitchen knife to scratch the sheath and cover it up?
Good question.
The killer didn't want us to see the scratches on the sheath. At first, I thought they were just cleaning the sheath, but I'm thinking that the killer didn't want us to see the scratches.
So were all the scratches on the sheath made by the killer? Or were there some on the sheath that he was trying to cover up?
Then why would the killer care? We saw the scratches.
Yeah.
Because the killer didn't do them.
Yeah, I guess the killer definitely made some scratches, of course. Maybe even the majority, but I guess there might have been other scratches he was trying to cover up. If we're still under the assumption that it's a he, after all.
What? You mean the scratches aren't real?
Yeah, they're fake. They weren't done by the killer. Someone else did it.
I don't believe that the culprit was searching for a weapon.
Yeah, they wouldn't go into Makoto's room and have to rely on finding a weapon. They would definitely bring one beforehand.
Instead, they probably wanted to use it as a cover-up.
Agreed.
They probably knew that if anyone found out they had a weapon, they'd be in trouble. Which means that they needed to get rid of the weapon.
Okay, so how so?
Maybe the killer threw it down the garbage too.
It wasn't the knife left in Sayaka? I don't think there was a second weapon. Oh, maybe for the used lint roller sheets at least. We never found those, so perhaps the killer did throw evidence down the garbage chute.
Or maybe they dropped it in the incinerator.
Either or.
If the incinerator was off, then the blade might have gotten stuck in the metal gate.
It's possible someone else turned on the incinerator afterwards.
Yeah, likely even.
There's also the possibility that the incinerator was already on when the killer started to drop the evidence inside.
True, but I wouldn't think the incinerator would be left on unless someone lost the key.
I don't think the incinerator was on either.
I think I have to agree with her.
But there's no way the killer could turn it on, so...
There's still a chance that someone else turned it on, isn't there?
True. If it didn't look suspicious, there is the window of time between when the murder took place and the body discovery announcement.
I agree, we definitely need to look at the incinerator.
We have to stop looking for suspects. Let's focus on the evidence.
Yeah, we still need a bit more to discuss before we can even attempt to arrive at a conclusion.
The incinerator, the fake sword sheath, and the nameplates.
Okay.
Those are the key pieces of evidence we need to find the truth.
Yeah. There's something here we're not seeing still.
Let's start with the incinerator.
Do we really think it can burn evidence? Surely the killer would have had to pull the lever in order to activate it.
Yeah, they would need the key to activate it. Unless they got someone else to somehow.
You're missing the point. The incinerator can burn anything regardless of whether it's on or off.
What?
But I'm afraid I can't explain any further. You'll just have to trust me.
The incinerator can burn anything, regardless of whether it's on or off. He definitely means figuratively. I don't know, not sure.
That's strange. How can a machine destroy evidence even when it's not on?
Doesn't matter. We need to keep searching for evidence. We're close. We're almost done.
It says 11,037. That's a reference to him, right?
Okay, we're all there now. Good.
But if that's true, then why would I kill Sayaka?
I think you've got it backwards, Liam. Why would you have to lie about your motives?
Yeah, actually, I get why Makoto would be a major suspect, but Leon's just been relaxing with his name written in blood on the wall. And hopefully he has a good explanation for this.
If you wanted to make Makoto look guilty, then you would be more likely to tell the truth.
Like if Leon knew the circumstances of her murder and that's what she's trying to signal.
I'm sure Lane didn't kill anyone, Tucker. He's too nice.
Oh, is that why?
He's kind of like us. He probably wants to live a normal life. Wait. Don't go jumping to conclusions. Here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out because of what we have, not because someone saw it happen.
What if Lamb had a reason to dispose of evidence?
He disposed of evidence?
Why would he want to dispose of evidence?
Dee, come on. This is getting ridiculous. You're acting like it's impossible for Mr. Kawada to have done something wrong.
I see he's going back on it. Also, that's the first time I've heard Hifumi say dude. I think he's probably pretty annoyed if he's gonna speak like that.
You don't have to act so defensive. Maybe he really did do it.
Yes, maybe it's possible that Leon did commit the murder, and we're all just being fooled by a liar.
Don't give me that. You know it's him.
But if Leon did it, why would he try to frame me? Maybe he wanted to stay hidden, but I'll figure it out eventually. If he did do it, then he deserves to die. Did not expect Makoto to take such a firm stance, though. He was very close to Sayaka, so I kind of understand.
I won't let anyone get away with killing my friend, not even him.
Here we go. I mean, we only really have one person it can be at this point, right? He hasn't given any good counter argument to why his name's on the wall.
Here's my answer!
Lynn, you can't escape your fate. You killed my friend. You stabbed her and tried to cover it up.
I think this is right. But it still feels chaotic in a way. Not sure how to describe it.
And I won't let you get away with this. You killed her and you don't deserve to live.
Now hold on. You are accusing me without any evidence.
I hate to say it, but he's right. We need to assemble the whole picture before we get its thousands of words.
How about you give me some of that evidence first? You haven't given me anything at all.
Okay, fine. Here you go. See, I found this note in the trash room. It says 11,037 on it, which is obviously the same thing as Lynn.
Oh, was someone trying to figure out the Oh, Celeste, probably. She said she knew what the message meant, and Mono figured it out mid-trial. So, while everyone's trying to figure out the number portion of it, they also figured out the name portion of it.
So this proves that Lynn is the killer.
It's not definitive, but again, it doesn't look good.
You've gotta admit, Lynn is definitely guilty.
Unless he's able to defend himself, but he's just not put forth any good arguments so far.
He's been lying to us from the start. Why else would he want to frame you?
I got it!
Here, look at this. It's a piece of cloth that was found in the trash room.
That's weird, since it wasn't in the trash room when we went through it.
I mean, if the... Maybe... I don't know. Maybe he got stuck in the grate, like Hifumi said earlier about the knife.
Wait a second. Did you forget something? What do you mean? Well, what were you doing in the trash room? You couldn't have gotten in there without a key, right?
That is important, yeah. The trash room should be locked. I mean, whenever we checked it was, so...
Yeah, that's right. But I didn't have a key.
But it still happened. Someone got in there.
I got it!
Let's see. The garbage room has an incinerator and a trash can.
Yay, that's right. But I don't remember ever seeing a trash can in the trash room. There was a trash can in the cafeteria though. Maybe it was moved there.
I see. Okay, that would line up with the knife as well. They got the knife and the trash can from the cafeteria.
I mean, it's not like a trash can. It's a big deal anyway. I bet someone just moved it.
Yeah, but that in and of itself is the problem. They moved it past the gate.
What do you mean? Who would move it?
Why would anyone want to move it? And why would they put it in the trash room?
But I swear, the incinerator was off. I know because I checked it twice.
You've been checking the incinerator or what?
I think you're lying. You had no reason to check the incinerator.
Of course I did. I wanted to make sure it was all.
Or unguarded.
No, that's wrong!
Do you recognize this broken crystal ball?
Gotta be heroes, right?
It looks like one of the Asuhiros.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the crystal ball he was always carrying around.
Hero could have gone into the trash room and stolen it.
No way. You're on thin ice, dude.
I don't think Hero would have stolen a crystal ball from anyone.
Seriously, what is wrong with you?
Seriously. Wow, I never thought it'd come to this. The ball is tempting, but we gotta focus on that trash can.
I got it!
I knew something was weird when Hifumi brought up a trash can. Hifumi's a huge fan of trash cans, but I didn't think he'd bring it up like that.
Is he? Or is that like a dig at him?
I guess I should shut my mouth about trash cans now.
Oh, I guess he is. You do you, Fumi.
But how could anyone get in there without a key?
Well, I can't imagine anyone wanting to go into the trash room. They probably just left it open. Maybe they were careless or something. I can believe that.
But then why would they leave the trash room unlocked?
I mean, maybe it just wasn't on purpose.
Wouldn't it be smarter to lock the door? What's wrong with them?
Oh, maybe Hero was the one that left it unlocked because the crystal ball was next to the incinerator.
Not to mention, the incinerator was on.
I don't care what the incinerator was on. I saw it. I swear.
Wow, what a line. That's incredible.
Really? You didn't turn it on. Besides, you're the most likely suspect. You were with her right before she died.
I was in the library until midnight. I was studying for the big exam.
So was it manga or the exam? At least be consistent. Also, was there any manga? Was there... Do we take exams?
You really weren't going into my room. So why'd you move the garbage can?
Here's exactly what happened.
It all started late last night when Harold went to use the trash room. He had probably neglected to get his trash out in time for garbage day, and he didn't want to wait until next garbage day to get rid of his trash. So naturally, Harold asked Yumi for the key and went to dispose of his trash. Harold opened the gate to the trash room and put all of his trash in the incinerator. Next, Hero turned off the incinerator. But just as he was about to go shut the trash room gate, his crystal ball fell out of his coat pocket and shattered on the floor. Hero has carried his crystal ball everywhere with him since we've been trapped here, and we've been distraught over it breaking. Knowing him, this would have caused him to run out of the trash room out of fear of the supernatural. The killer, who checked the trash room multiple times a day, found that the gate was wide open. They realized this would be the perfect opportunity for committing murder. The killer went to the kitchen for two things, a knife and the trash can. The killer moved the trash into a spot in the dorms that would allow them to dispose of evidence quickly and easily. Then, the killer had to pick a target. They wanted a target they could overpower if it came down to it. So they attempted to quietly break into Seika's room. However, the killer was unable to open the door, so they retreated back into their room. After a short time, they decided on a louder approach. They pulled the crowbar out of their token and selected a different target. Meanwhile, Sayaka had approached me about switching rooms. She was scared the killer would come back to her room again. I agreed to this idea. My biggest regret, however, is not informing everyone about the attempted break-in. I wanted to ensure that such a thing had actually occurred before alarming everyone, so I went to investigate Sayaka's room. Sometime soon after the swap, Sayaka must have left my room to use the public bathroom. We can only speculate this part, but judging by the gold residue we found on her wrist, it seems likely that she had knocked over the replica sword in my room, which would explain those other scratches we found on the sheet. When she picked up the sword, she would have gotten a considerable amount of gold dust on her hands. Despite her fears, she thought one quick trip to the public bathroom to wash her hands would be safe. After all the water in our rooms had been shut off for the night, and being an idol having dirty hands must have greatly bothered her. However, when Sayaka went out to use the bathroom, the killer had sprung into action. The killer selected me as the next target, and cracked my door open with their crowbar. They were probably surprised to find the room was empty. The killer must have felt very lucky in this moment. So they pushed their luck further, and after closing my door the best they could, hid under my bed. The killer's luck was about to run out. However, as Sayaka came back to my room and laid on my bed. Sayaka and I had pretty different body proportions, and there was no good way to tell how exactly Sayaka had chosen to lay down. So when the killer stabbed through the bed, they only managed to slash at Sayaka's wrist. But the angle must have been pretty poor, as it caused a lot more of a blood fracture to her wrist than a gash. Sayaka would have been panicking at this point, and ran into my bathroom. The killer must have been shocked as well to find Sayaka in my room instead of me. Perhaps they were even more shocked when the bathroom door that had opened so easily for Sayaka seemed impenetrable for them. After struggling with the bathroom door, they knew they had to do whatever it took to ensure Sayaka's death. So they grabbed their crowbar and got to work on prying the bathroom door open. The killer was probably panicked at this point, so the damage to my door, the doorbell, was a lot more overt compared to the damage to my front door. Sayaka then prepared to make a desperate last stand against the killer, but unfortunately, the killer fought her off easily and plunged the knife into her chest. The killer must have felt satisfied as she began to slump down the wall and went to get started on cleaning up any evidence in the bedroom. Meanwhile, Sayaka used the last of her strength to write a dying message on my bathroom wall. A clever message with a double meaning, 11,037, which signaled that we should look at the room arrangements, while also appearing to spell Liam when viewed upside down. As this was happening, the killer grabbed the trash can they left outside and got to work. The killer used the lint roller in my room to clean up any hair that might have been left behind under my bed, and picked up any damaged wood or metal fragments from any doors they had pried open. They probably knew the damage to the room would be discovered eventually, especially when it came to the bathroom door, so they went to work fabricating signs of a struggle. First, they grabbed a replica sword and used the sheath to break the sword's blade. Then, they scratched the sword sheath with the kitchen knife. Not satisfied with this, they began to scratch my bed and walls as well. I think they got carried away, as the room was covered in slashes to a ridiculous degree. After they got the room how they wanted it, they took off their shirt and threw it in the trash can. Before they left, the killer used an unexpected fact to their advantage. Since they figured out that Sayaka and I had swapped rooms, they switched our nameplates to try and frame me for the murder. Finally, the killer grabbed the trash can and brought it to the trash room. However, in their haste, they had forgotten a key component. The crowbar was still laying in the hallway, where Sakura would later find it. The killer brought the trash can to the incinerator and started dumping evidence inside. In doing so, they also dumped the original contents of the trash can in as well. After all, they had no way of starting the incinerator without the key, so they needed to set it up so that Hifumi wouldn't think twice about just turning it on in the morning. killer, their deed done, left the trash room. However, there was one more stroke of misfortune that would befall them. The sleeve of the shirt they had thrown away had gotten stuck on the metal grate inside the incinerator, which would later spare it from being burned. And that's exactly how Sayaka was murdered. Wouldn't you agree, Lee Wong? You're the one who killed Sayaka, aren't you?
He seems to be, yeah.
But if you did kill her, why? Why would you do such a thing?
That's one thing we don't have is the why. I guess it was just of opportunity, but...
Why would you kill your best friend?
Oh, they were that close. Okay, I guess that explains he didn't expect her. And that also explains why he was panicked.
Hey, that's enough.
Please don't leave me. I didn't do it. I would never hurt anyone. It wasn't me. I swear. I'm innocent. I loved Sayaka. She was my first real friend. And we were so close.
Don't lie to us, Lynn. You've been acting suspicious since the beginning of the investigation.
I feel a bit bad for him. Ended up killing his closest friend. Though, only a little bad for him, though.
We know you're the one who killed Sayaka.
Ha! That's hilarious. I knew you were lying.
Oh, Makoto's absolutely losing it.
You're the murderer.
No way. I'm not the killer.
He's lying. Of course he's lying. He's trying to save himself.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's just go ahead and kill him.
Kyoko, Jesus, relax. Oh my god.
Let's get this over with already.
Now, please, don't kill me. I love Sayaka. I would never do anything to hurt her.
Man, this has been kind of hard to listen to.
So you admit you did it?
The crowbar is gone from Lan's toolkit. He's the murderer.
Well, sorry, man.
Well then, let's start the execution. Everyone start voting for who the killer is.
I see it's a voting system.
Who wants to go first? Who's gonna be the one to vote for Lynn? Oh, that was quick. Did you already make up your mind? Hina?
Wow, did she just trust us that much, or did she have something against Leon? Interesting.
Well then, who else wants to vote for Lynn? Anyone? That's all of them. Looks like you're going to get executed, Lynn.
Ugh.
But don't worry, everyone. I'm sure we can find another killer.
Yeah, this is just gonna keep happening, isn't it?
Just give it some time.
Ugh. Hate the implication there. So is it time to employ AI-generated storytelling into the next big visual novel? Can we make our dream a reality? No, but it's seeming more and more feasible. When generating the script, I only had to tell the AI to rewrite a line around 30 times. Sounds like a lot, but for about an hour of written dialogue is pretty impressive. And the dialogue came out as mostly coherent and pretty entertaining at points. Though I must admit that despite making miniature breakthroughs, I think the AI would struggle a lot without a director guiding it and keeping it on the rails. The AI voice acting, however, was really good for what it was. So, can an AI rewrite Danganronpa class trial? Surprisingly, with a little help, it can get pretty close.